Kamehameha Spirit Bomb! Welcome back, my friends, to my big fat E3 2019 pre-show. We have covered a few things already. If you didn't see part one, go watch part one. Even though you don't really need to, you can watch this one first. Doesn't actually matter. It's not like there's a continuity, like an ongoing story. Although I guess the joke you just saw was kind of a continuing joke of the first one. So forget you saw that joke. Go watch the first one, then come watch this one. So let's get things started. Again, with what is probably my very favorite pre-E3 thing to do, and that is predictions. Okay, so prediction number one. This is my primary main prediction. A new Mario and Luigi game will be announced. It's just time. It's been a long time since the last one. They've been really pretty regular at bringing these things out. All the DS and the 3DS got lots of them, and then the last couple have been remakes on the 3DS, so I think that they've been working on one for the Switch. It just makes sense. So that'll get an announcement probably for release within the first half of next year, maybe in the spring, or maybe even like in the winter. It'll be a little interesting if that happens, because it'll be the first Mario and Luigi game that only uses one screen since the original. All the rest have had the top and bottom. Oh, the baby's on the top, the older guy's on the bottom, Bowser on the top, dudes in the stomach on the bottom, that kind of thing. This would just be the one, so I'd be curious to know how they do it when it happens, when it definitely happens, because I predicted it, and everything I predict happens. Prediction number two. This is my second and only. I have two predictions for games that they will reveal. My second one is Mario Golf. That is another very safe prediction. I'm not going super far out on a limb at all. Mario Golf. We already got tennis. We got party. It's time for golf. There you go. That's all I have to say about that. It's going to be Mario Golf. Mario Golf! Super Club hit. Super Club hit the ball. Go! And Knuckles. Prediction number three. This one, I'm letting my pessimist come out. You know, I was talking about all the Animal Crossing stuff, how it might be delayed, and I'm a little worried it might be. This is my prediction. It will be delayed. Animal Crossing will be shown off, but it'll be shown off and touted as a 2020 title. That's going to be what they're going to do. They're going to update the release window. They'll probably even give us a specific window. It'll probably even be spring 2020, but it'll be delayed. That's my prediction. I'm doing it. I'm being the pessimist here. Nothing else will get delayed. All the other amazing games coming this year will all come. Animal Crossing will be just the only one that just couldn't quite make it. Prediction number four. They will reveal Super NES games on Nintendo Switch Online. There have been lots of rumors about this. Obviously, there have been, you've seen them, just little tidbits here and there, some quote-unquote leaks and all that stuff. And I'm following the rumor that, so I don't remember where it came from, but there was the whole idea that they're going to keep bringing new platforms to Nintendo Switch Online, but then you have to pay a higher and higher tier every year to have access to those games, and that is what I am predicting right now. Super NES on Nintendo Switch Online, but you'll have to pay a little bit more per year. I don't exactly know how much. 25. Instead of 20, it'll be 25 if you want to play Super NES games on your Switch. And all of us will wonder, is that where it's going to stop though? Or is it going to keep going? Will it be in 64? Will it go as high as GameCube? I don't know, but it'll be Super NES. And of course, that means they'll trickle out over the next couple years. Anyway, getting too far there. My final prediction is a two-parter. The first is, remember how I was talking about how there might be 2 Smash reveals? That's my prediction. I am just straight up predicting. I'm touching the big hat on my hand with the envelope. But that's a thing. You know what? You kids won't understand that reference. Only old people like me who heard old people referencing that will get that reference. There's gonna be 2, and those characters shall be Erdrick. Super safe bet. Almost seems guaranteed at this point. Erdrick from Dragon Quest and all that. And the second one is Rayman. Every time, like I've brought this up a lot, every time the idea of what Smash characters might come and what I predict, done it again and again and again, and yet Rayman never comes up. I forget about Rayman. Nintendo and Ubisoft are best buds. Rayman has been around for a long time. I can see it happening. He's not necessarily like a super duper amazing famous classic, but I could just so easily see this happening. So Erdrick is my safe bet. Rayman is my slightly less safe bet, especially because he's He's a Western IP. Whatever. Rayman. Rayman's gonna come. It'll be pretty cool. It's the first step toward getting Rabbids in Smash Brothers. So that's what I am predicting will happen. Not necessarily what I think will happen, but what I'm predicting will happen. The two are kind of similar, kind of different. It's a whole thing. But now I'm going to tell you with my face what I hope will happen. These are the things that I super, ooper, duper, flooper hope to see at E3 2019. It's a great intro for this section. You just gotta pad it out a little bit, you know? You can't just be like, okay, that was predictions, now here's my wish list. Boom! Like, you gotta, it's a pacing thing, you know? It's all about visual entertainment, you know? There's a whole lot to understand. It's complicated, don't worry about it. I'm a professional, I have a very, very, very strong grasp on this medium. Definitely. So my first wish is a pretty obvious one. I made an entire video on this, but I am always on the lookout for sequels to Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild is less likely. Super Mario Odyssey is not incredibly super duper likely, but it is slightly more likely, or at least more likely than Breath of the Wild 2. And here's the thing. I was talking with people about this on Twitter. Usually when I bring up getting a sequel to Odyssey 2, they're like, it's too soon, hasn't been long enough, definitely not going to happen. But here's the thing. If Nintendo revealed Super Mario Odyssey 2 at this year's E3 and announced that it would be released next spring, that timing would line up exactly with Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2. No joke. They released Galaxy 1 near the, like November or something, near the end of 2017. Not 2017, 2007. Galaxy 1 was the end of 2007. Then at E3 2009, they announced it and it released in the spring of 2010. Super Mario Odyssey at the end of 2017, then at E3 2019 being announced for release in the spring of 2020. Exact same timing. Exact 2.5 years from the first to the second one, because they reused the assets and all that stuff. I'm not saying it's the most likely thing in the world, but it is more possible than a lot of people seem to think. And for that reason, I got my eyes out. I'm probably not going to happen, but it's definitely on my wish list. Zelda is less realistic. It's on there too, but Odyssey, that's my pie in the sky kind of wish. Pikmin 4, obviously, though at this point it feels like it's never happening. Or like, I feel like I'm gonna wait for 4, and then when we eventually get something, it will be 3. I don't really know, but Pikmin 4 is on the list, obviously. I really, really can't wait for any new rumblings about that game. But speaking of Pikmin 3, that does lead me into my next wish. They have ported most good Wii U games over to the Switch already, and I'm ready for them to just do the rest. You know, like, just do it. Just finish it off already. Just do the rest of the games. They could use it. Off the top of my head, there's probably more I'm not thinking of, but while I was making this little list here, the 3 major ones I can think of are Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Those are the 3 just games. I mean, I know Wonderful 101 didn't sell super well, but, you know, it's got a lot of potential. I think it could really, really use a port. Those are the 3 notable games, and I really would like a port of Pikmin 3, just because it will make more people play Pikmin 4 when it comes out. I also think it needs Pikmin 1 and 2 on there to make people play 4. You don't just start with 4, but that's a whole discussion for another day. But yeah, just don't wait any longer. You've already killed the Wii U. You might as well just deliver the final blow, twist the knife, and just get the last remaining games off of that thing and then watch it sink. Plunk them onto the Switch. Which leads me into my next wish. Speaking of porty thingy things, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Obviously, we don't know if it's real or not. A lot of people say it is, but where is it? That's my wish. I really, 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 extra times 900 want Metroid Prime Trilogy on my Switch, if that was not already obvious. Speaking of old games, that leads into my next wish. These are great. I actually didn't mean for these to be so perfectly segue-y. They all lead into each other very nicely. Another thing I want is old games in some form. I know they don't necessarily always announce these kinds of features at an E3, you know, like new stuff coming to Nintendo Switch Online. A second ago, I talked about Super NES. It's not necessarily, they usually save those for like the in-between directs, but I'm still going to predict the Super NES one, and I'm still going to wish for something, whether it's announcing some ports or some remasters of GameCube games, or announcing any amount of old consoles on Nintendo Switch Online, anything. I just want some whisper of more old games coming to the Switch. That is also something I have a whole video planned on. I'm coming up soon. We got a lot of videos planned, if you haven't noticed. We're kind of waiting for E3 to come and go, so I can, in case any announcements at E3 kind of affect what I'm doing. But whatever it ends up being, I'm getting kind of sick of not being able to play very many old games on my Switch. There's no good, consistent way to do it unless it's NES games, and I don't really care about those. I want to play other ones. Something. Give us something. Give us some whisper of an announcement, of some idea on the horizon of how you're gonna give us these old games to play on our Switch, even if just someday. Earlier I talked about the possibility of maybe getting a Metroid Prime 4 teaser or something. I guess I did already cover that, but it is on my wish list. I really, really hope just something, some taste of Metroid Prime 4, just to help. It hurts, man. It was already so hard to wait for this game and then having it all restart. So just a little band-aid, you know what I mean? I was wrecked by that announcement. It's like I rolled down a hill, busted myself up all over. This would be just a nice little cooling, calming salve or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Be a nice band-aid. Give us something. And of course, there's other stuff. It's the obvious stuff. Paper Mario. Is it even worth talking about at this point? Remaster of Thousand Year Door, new, good Paper Mario game, whatever. You get that part. Moving on. I suppose my only other wish, my final wish, is that nothing gets delayed. I know I'm playing the pessimism card with Animal Crossing, but that's my wish, is that like everything we know about that feels like it's coming out for 2019 or that has been announced for 2019, I hope it all is. I complained a whole bunch about 2018 and the first half of this year, but I want 2019 to end up being everything as good as it looks like it's going to be. I don't want a single thing to get delayed. And another great, obviously just getting a lot of games is great. It'd be just cool to have all those games this year. But another thing that would be great about that is it would open up next year for tons of announcements. You know what I mean? Like, if we don't think Metroid is coming anytime soon, Bayonetta could be a next year title or something, but we don't really have a lot for next year, so if all this stuff ends up coming this year, there could potentially be a lot of great announcements at E3 and also at any other Nintendo Directs that might come this year, and that idea is very exciting. It's very dangerous to start thinking like that and getting hopes up and all that, but that sure would be nice. It would be nice for another kind of 2017 situation, not necessarily where it's like bombshell, but at least where it's just like, hey, what's going on in 2020? And they're like, I'll show you. It's this, and it's this, and it's this. Yeah, no delays, please. Let's try to make this like the like the good old days of early Switch, where it seemed like delays would just never happen ever again. It's definitely a realistic expectation. And now it's the part where 90% of you guys turn off the video. I'm, of course, referring to the other guys' discussion, all the companies that are not Nintendo. Although, wait, there is a tiny bit of Nintendo stuff kind of sprinkled in there, so maybe you should keep watching. You don't know how much, Nintendo does stuff with other companies, so there's stuff to talk about that's Nintendo-related. Please don't turn off the video yet. Actually, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of the other guys this year. It's something of a breather year. PlayStation and Microsoft are getting ready to, it's basically guaranteed the next year we're going to get the next PlayStation, the next Xbox. So Sony isn't even doing a show, so I got nothing to talk about there because they're taking that breather. And for that reason, I'm not really sure what Xbox is going to be like. Are they going to have a breather too? You know what I mean? Because they're busy working on stuff for their next system. I think it might be like halfway breather. I think we might get a lot more positioning. I don't know if that's the right word at all. More, I don't know, like they did a lot last year. There was a lot of doubt surrounding if there was even going to be another Xbox or if they were going to, hang up the towel as far as consoles went, because it seemed like it was going pretty rough. But then they came out and said, yeah, we're working on the next one. And look, we bought up a bunch of studios to get a bunch of exclusives on there. They really just said, we're doing it, and just kind of tried as much as they could to build up a lot of hype. So they might do a lot more of that this year. I mean, like, obviously, last year they announced they had the Halo and the new Gears of War. So those games will get more coverage, probably more info on Halo, maybe even like a a demo or something. I'm not big fans of those series or anything. I'm more just interested in like what Xbox will do as a whole. And I could see it being like a solid year. Like maybe no big reveals or anything again, because they're working on stuff for the next one. I can see it being pretty good though. Maybe they'll even announce buying more studios or something. Who knows? There were rumors. I guess this could have gone in the rumors section, but that was the Nintendo rumors section. All the other guys' stuff is here. There was a couple rumors or something about how there might be a new Banjo or Conquer game coming. I don't know if there's any merit to this or anything. I'm kind of doubtful. That almost just seems too good to be true. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool though. I never played Conquer, but Banjo, I played that as a kid. I would really, really, really like a Banjo remake or something, especially if it came to Switch. I just have been wanting to play it. I haven't played it since I was a kid, Banjo Kazooie. And here's a Nintendo thing. Microsoft and Nintendo, they've been doing stuff. They've been getting all chummy and buddy-buddy recently. I think if they revealed something like a brand new Banjo Kazooie game or even a remaster or something, it would be pretty darn cool if they brought it to Switch. It doesn't seem super likely. I know Cuphead went to Switch, but Cuphead, I don't believe, is owned by them. It was just console exclusive with them. I don't see a brand new Banjo Kazooie or Conquer coming to Switch. I could maybe see a remaster coming to Switch though. But that'd be interesting. It will be interesting to see if there's any kind of, even if it's not Banjo or Conquer, any kind of announcement with Nintendo at all. Any other just further details. And of course, they were also recently, there was a whole thing about how Microsoft and Sony are kind of getting together to work on their streaming services. So that's kind of fun. Everyone's being pretty chummy, so I'm curious to see if any of that comes through the Xbox conference. The only other thing with Xbox is Playdead. They are the ones who did Limbo and Inside, which are some of my very favorite games. Just based on the timing, just how long it's been since they released Inside and how long it was advertised after being revealed, there is a chance of it being revealed here. I don't know if they're still going to do the whole Xbox, like initial Xbox console exclusive thing where Playdead just seems to be buddy with Microsoft. I don't know, they get timed exclusives or something. It's possible. I am definitely really, really, really eager to see whatever their next game ends up being. It's going to be in space, apparently. Maybe even 3D. So the idea that it is possible for them to announce something like that and reveal it at the Xbox show, if anything, that is a reason for me to watch the Xbox conference. So yeah, try not to get my hopes up too much about that, but oh my gosh, I love Inside so much. I would like that. I'd like to see the new Playdead game very, very much. Ubisoft is another one that could potentially have a Nintendo-related announcement. I kind of don't think they will. If they do, it would just be like maybe one or two cross-platform games, probably smaller games. You know, obviously they're not going to announce the Division 3 and bring it to the Switch too, you know what I mean? Like, if anything, it'd probably be some of their smaller budget titles. I mean, first we had Mario and Rabbids, and that was obviously a really big deal for the Nintendo crowd. That was a Switch exclusive. And then there was Starlink, which was a multi-platform game, but it just had a very big, a much bigger kind of excitement, presence, whatever, on the Switch because of the Star Fox content. That was another big thing. I feel like I don't want to get my hopes up for another big kind of surprise, Nintendo-related surprise at a Ubisoft conference this year, you know? I feel like it would be, I don't know, I feel like it would be asking too much, or at least expecting too much. Like, now they've kind of conditioned us into thinking every year Ubisoft is going to have some big, cool Nintendo thing to show. I'm tampering my expectations, kind of probably won't happen. I certainly hope I'm wrong, but I'm going into it kind of assuming that there won't be. Other than that, there's not a lot coming out of Ubisoft right now, that I'm interested in. I always watch their shows though. I'm always curious to know what they're gonna announce. Probably the only major title I'm halfway interested in that they're doing is Beyond Good and Evil 2, but I say halfway because everything they keep saying about the game makes it sound worse, you know? It sounds like it's turning into one of those connected live service microtransactions things. Not into that. I'm just not into that. I was hoping they would just make another cool game. I still haven't played the first one. I know, I'm a total poser, but it looks really cool. I have it, I just need to play it. Definitely wondering why the original HD version hasn't come to the Switch. Now that I think about it, Ubisoft loves Nintendo. Anyway, their relationship with Nintendo is great, but it's also weird. There's a lot of stuff they bring to Switch that they just don't. Anyway, though, so yeah, I'm like halfway wondering, like it seems pretty much guaranteed that they're gonna finally do a full reveal on Beyond Good and Evil. They've been teasing us for so long. Maybe actually show gameplay and what the game's about. Stop beating around the bush already. But my expectations are in check. They've been misstepping a lot recently, I'll just say. I've liked Ubisoft for a while now, but they've always been, you know, a big company who definitely likes the money, and they've let that like of the money kind of take over them a little bit more so recently. I don't really know. Not trying to say bad things about them too much. Whatever. My other hope for the Ubisoft show, some smaller titles. There was a while where they were doing smaller titles. It seemed like all at once. They were like, oh, here's, what was it, Valiant Hearts, the War one, and Child of Light. And those came, like, really close to each other. They might have even been announced at the same show. And I was just like, oh, cool. And then, like, next year, I'm like, what's your new batch of small games? You know, they did Grow Home and Grow Up, and that's cool. But I just want more. Some years go by, and they don't really announce anything smaller, you know? Like, they tend to fund pretty good, small little projects. And I'd like to see some, especially if they're coming to Switch. EA isn't even doing a full conference, so I'm ignoring them completely. I can't say I'm sad. You know, I'm a little disappointed that Sony is doing a conference, but EA, it's always pretty terrible. I'm always like morbidly curious to see how bad it'll end up being. But they're not even doing it, so I get the feeling that a lot of people are just gonna not even care. They've got a presence at E3, but they're not doing like one major show, so oh well, too bad. Stinks to be us, am I right? Bethesda, even more than Ubisoft, has been slipping recently. I like Bethesda. I liked Bethesda. They were doing really well. But more and more, that greed is taking over. And it's taken over a lot. Like, their E3 last year was really great. They had, I did that whole video about how E3 was just like high highs and low lows, and I put Bethesda in the high category. Everything they revealed looked great, you know. Fallout 76, it didn't look terrible to me at the time. It just seemed like it would be, you know, a multiplayer Fallout game, which to me is not what I like about Fallout, the idea of playing multiplayer. But I thought it would be a good product for people who are into that kind of thing. And I didn't play Fallout 76. I don't know if you know much about the game or the stuff surrounding it. But from the sounds of it, this is other people's words, not mine. I've not played the game. I've not passed judgment yet. But it sounds like it is a pile of garbage. It sounds like it's terrible. It's buggy. The mechanics are awful. There's nothing to do. And yeah, people are really mad at Bethesda for that one. And then like Todd Howard, even Elder Scrolls Blades, who was going on and on about that last year, he was making it look like, hey, maybe it'll be fun. Maybe this will be a mobile game that's actually like pretty fun and kind of like a real game and like Elder Scrolls on your phone. But again, based on other people's impressions, not mine, it's not. It is like the epitome of the scummy, manipulative, gross, loot box laden, free to wait mobile game. So I don't know, like all this stuff they were hyping up last year kind of came out between then and now, and not looking super good. So like now I'm looking at Bethesda and I don't expect much, and we know that they said we're not going to get anything about Elder Scrolls or Starfield, and those are like two of the main things that I'm interested in. So really it's just Doom Eternal. That is the pretty much the only thing out of Bethesda that I'm interested in seeing. Everything else is not going to be there, or is kind of turned to trash. So I don't know. They had a good E3 and then they had a bad following year. I'm curious to see if they're going to do anything to kind of make up for that, or kind of regain some of the goodwill that they lost, especially with Fallout 76. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't have a lot to say about the other ones. I know like Square Enix always does a show. I don't know. Just haven't really looked into that. Maybe there'll be some on Final Fantasy VII. Those are really the main ones that I'm going to watch that I'm pretty into. I know Devolver Digital, they always do a pretty fun, interesting thing. I've never actually watched them. I always mean to. I need to go back and watch the old ones, but they always do super wacky stuff. The only other company of interest is Netflix. They recently announced that they were going to be at E3 and talk about bringing some of their adapting some of their shows into video games. And I thought it's kind of interesting. I mean, like, you think about Netflix shows, it doesn't seem like a lot of them would make great games. I mean, I guess technically any game, any show or whatever can be changed into a narrative sort of thing. I just don't know what their plans are. The only thing that we know they're doing is the Stranger Things 3 game. That's going to be on Switch. But beyond that, it's hard to know. I mean, like, for all we know, the whole thing is just going to be about that. Or maybe they'll tease other shows but not say anything. Or maybe they'll be like, hey, here's 3 of our shows. Here, they're all going to get things. That Rain show and Black Summer and Orange is the New Black. They're all getting video games. Who really knows? Maybe, will they all be console games? Maybe they'll be mobile games. You can turn basically anything into a mobile game. So I don't know, but I'm curious. I'm curious enough that if they have like a press conference or something, I might tune in. I might see what they got planned. So there you have it. There you have it. That is the pre-E3 2019 pre-show. Let me check my recorder down here. Yep, the total time for this whole discussion, parts 1 and 2. Yep, 9 hours. That's pretty much what I expected going in. But hey, there's nothing left to say except I will see you at the show. Not literally. I'm not going to LA to go to E3. I just mean, like, we'll all be watching the show and I will be covering it, and I hope to see you there viewing my content. Know what I mean? Rule of threes. I should probably end this with another DBZ joke. Let's see. How mean would it be to make Kane animate a Destructo disc that flies out of my hand and into the screen and blows it up? Well, he'll just charge me for it, so let's find out. Destructo disc!